Well, I promised we were going to do story time, and here we are. Story for tonight, or this morning, or whatever it is. It was earlier this summer, and we were maybe 30-ish minutes from landing in Charlotte. I'd had a decent crew, and we'd had a fairly long, maybe 4-hour flight. It might have been coming from Phoenix or something like that into Charlotte. And so we're just about 30 minutes from landing, and I was the 3, so I'm heading up front, checking on the number 1, see how everything's going in first class. As I'm up there, I'm getting a trash bag, getting a glove, gonna go do a walkthrough through the cabin. Suddenly, I hear a sound. And again, somebody's just mashing on that call button. And so myself and the 1 step into the aisle, look down the aisle. There's a crowd of people just sort of clamoring in the middle of the aisle. I'm like, well, we got some action. So I discard everything I've got in my hands and I go racing down the aisle. As I'm making my way through, sort of pushing people aside, I said, what's going on? What's going on? And what do I see? A body on the floor. It's at moments like these that your training just sort of kicks in and takes over. It's not really as much a conscious thought as it is just, this is a moment and I've got to respond to it exactly the way I know how. I get to the heart of the commotion. There's a man on his back on the floor and a woman on top of him. I say, what's going on? The woman says 2 things. One that you always want to hear and one that you never want to hear. First thing she says is, I'm an emergency room doctor. I'm like, oh, yes, this is great. This is perfect. I love this because that means I don't have to carry full weight and responsibility of, did I respond exactly properly in the situation? And because it's an emergency room doctor. And you're in this situation way more than I am. The second words that come out of our mouth are, we don't have a pulse. And I'm like, oh, you mean to tell me the good sir man here down on the floor is dead? Technically speaking, at this moment, dead. Not a good sign. But again, calm and confident because you're on top of him and you've probably been in this situation a lot more than I have, so I don't have to respond in the perfect timing, in the perfect way, and make sure I'm checking all of my boxes. I need to make sure you're in a position where you can do the best for him. So I call out for the emergency equipment. We bring out the AED because obviously if we don't have a heartbeat, we're going to need to get it back. They bring out the portable oxygen container and the grab and go kit. And so it's like at this point, my brain figures, I'll let you be the number 1 responder to the situation. I'll be the facilitator because you know a bunch of stuff to do, and I just know a bunch of stuff that we have on the aircraft, and I'm going to try to let you know what we can do in the situation. So I'm just directing traffic. I'm getting people out of the way. I'm calling for equipment from the back, and everybody else is running for it. All 3 of the other flight attendants were just like all over the place, just bringing everything we needed. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm probably going to have to pull these pads off of the AED, schmeckety schmeck on his chest for the first time ever. I've never actually used an AED, but I'm like, all right, we'll get ready for that. And as they finally bring the AED, she says, I've got a heartbeat. It's faint, but I've got a heartbeat. So I'm like, all right, well, we've got an AED here should we need it. We've got oxygen here should we need it. I've got, we brought the emergency medical kit as well, so they pulled out the stethoscope and everything, and they start checking everything, his heartbeat, the breathing, the blood oxygenation, and then they were started to, and slowly, it's funny though, I remember it in these moments, I used my telepathic powers. That's what I always say to myself. You ever talk to somebody else silently? So, man, on the ground, I've just got a hold of his hand, because I personally believe that whether you're here or not, your physical body has some connection to your consciousness. And I wanted him to have a human holding on to him here. And I just remember telling him, or maybe I'm just speaking to myself in my own mind. I'm saying, not yet, buddy. Not yet. We're here. We're here. We're here. And I just remember holding on to his hand. And I mean, it was just like, it's kind of weird to hold on to a hand and then feel like when she said, we've got a pulse back, we've got a pulse back. And you feel a little bit of life there, but not fully there, not all the way there, could be gone at any moment. But everything went perfectly, flawlessly. All our procedures were followed, and he slowly begins to regain consciousness. And so at this point, I'm like, well, glad we don't need the AED. Glad we're not going to just like clear and all that stuff. But he's going to need some stuff. So we're getting snacks from the front, and his blood sugar level is probably low. And I start going through it with him. Oh, the other thing is, while he's unconscious, I'm also trying to ascertain from the passengers around him, is he here with anybody? What information do we have on him? So while the doctor is fighting for his life and trying to determine what's wrong, I'm filling out, like, what seat is he in? Who is this passenger? I pull it up on the manifest. I see, where is he traveling to? Is anybody traveling with him? All that stuff. And I'm documenting. When we get him back, turns out he'd had a heart attack a couple of weeks earlier. And he was traveling to go see his granddaughter. And it kind of broke my heart a little bit, because he's embarrassed that there's this huge fuss over him. And I'm like, you're alive. You're alive. Of course there's a huge fuss over you. You were dead, bro. You were dead on the ground. You were gone. And everybody's just really trying to reassure him. And so my runner, she was the flight attendant in the front. She's running back up to the front and communicating with the flight deck. And since we were already so close to landing in Charlotte, we don't end up diverting to another location. And everything just, I promise you, the way everything flowed together, the way my team worked together, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. It's exactly how you dream of medical emergencies going, because everybody responded perfectly. We ended up having two doctors who were on board, the emergency room doctor and another one, and the two of them were in concert, making sure that he was taken care of. And we finally got him back up to his feet, and it's just like, yes. And he sits down in the seat, and we let him know, hey, once we land, we're going to get you off first. The emergency personnel are going to come. They're going to get you. Do you have any bags? Do you have anything else? Checking, his wallet's in his seat back over there and all this stuff. It's just, and we got him into his seat. And then in what felt like seconds, we went from, there's a dead man on the ground and we're trying to get him back, to, I'm a flight attendant, I need to secure the cabin for landing. Let's collect trash. Let's do this. Let's do that. And everybody all lives happily ever after. And I think is when the wheels finally touched the ground. And again, I made an announcement. I made several announcements. One before we cleared the cabin for landing, letting everybody know, hey, we're going to have everybody remain seated. I made another one once we were on the ground. Medical personnel came, took care of the man and got him off the aircraft and into the jet bridge. And everybody just perfect. I mean, you could not dream of a medical emergency going better than this one did, and that was super great. But yeah, it was wild. And once the wheels touched the ground, it's like, okay, we're good. Yeah. So it stays in your mind though, definitely. And I'm super grateful for the training that I have, for the team member that I have, and for the magical volunteering medical personnel who are on board so many of our flights. Because without them, things could be a lot more devastating. Yeah. But, and also for the passengers, because all the passengers responded as if his life matters. Not like, oh, well, what about my connection? What about this? What about that? It's like the entire aircraft understood what's happening, and everybody let that be the only thing that mattered. And that, that was priceless. That was priceless. Anyway, all-nighter is almost over. I am on 3 hours of sleep. I think I got close to 3 hours of sleep, and a busy day today. We fly back to Charlotte and see what happens when Hurricane Ian comes to town. But yeah, it's gonna be a great day. Let's go and live it. I'll see you on the flip side. Wait, we can't go yet. One more thing. Leave the key card. Benjamin.